Welcome back to my channel. My name is Kiki LaFleur, and today I'm going to show you the art of mastering full glam makeup, but with more simpler steps. So if you want to see how I did this, keep watching. I'm going to show you the beginning stages of what it's like to try to master the art of full glam. Now, there are levels to this, of course, and I'm just going to go through a stage where I started as far as putting on full glam makeup, and it worked out. It worked out every single time, and I feel like not everyone is advanced where you can work with a whole lot of products and achieve the same results, especially in the beginning, because you don't know why you're putting these products on majority of the time, and if you do, you probably either putting too much or too little. So to kind of remove all of that out of the way and just symbolize it so that you're still able to achieve the full glam, and then as you start to master this simple skill, then you're able to add on bits and pieces that actually work for you. So with that being said, I'm going to start off with my skin. My skin is nice and dewy and moisturized. Ooh, a lot came out. I'm going to apply this primer that I've been enjoying by Rem Beauty. This is a blurring primer that I've just truly been loving how my makeup lasts when I use this. Why did I squeeze out so much? I got happy. So I like putting this on my T-zone area and just work it in. I also like to press it in because my beautiful skin loves every opportunity to become oily. So for my foundation, I'm going to go in with a full coverage foundation. This is Cover FX Power Play, and this is in shade G80. I love the squeeze bottle. I'm going to put some on my hand. I'm going to warm that up, and I'm going to use my 𝗀𝗪𝗂𝗪𝗀𝗪𝗀𝗪𝗀𝗪𝗀𝗪𝗀𝗪𝗀𝗪𝗀𝗪𝗀𝗪𝗀𝗪 Kashik sponge that I just love using this sponge. It makes applying my foundation so fun because it goes so fast. I just love how this foundation matches with me. It doesn't, like, as I'm looking at it, I remember every single time why I enjoy using this foundation, and no matter how I use it, whether it's a sponge or a brush, it doesn't matter. I see myself. You know how sometimes you put on foundation and it can either be it may fit your complexion, but sometimes it's too yellow or too pink or too red. Like, it's just, I feel like this matches my undertone, which is more olive, yellow, golden, and it just, I love using it because I see myself. And I also love that although it's full coverage, well, I think it's more of a medium coverage, because I feel like regardless of how I use it, like, but also I don't have as many scars so as I used to, acne scars. So for me, it's like not seeing it automatically is like, it's full coverage. So when I realize that my skin is getting better, I have to actually look for certain marks to kind of see the coverage, if that makes sense. But normally if it's covering up my scars, I automatically put it in the category of full coverage. But now that my skin is getting better, it's like I have to remember, like, your skin is doing well, so it's easier to cover up, if that makes sense. But I still feel like this is more like a medium to full coverage. But I also love the satin finish it gives. It doesn't give like a pure matte finish. For me, I still see the full coverage, but it's more of a satin velvety finish. And it doesn't feel heavy on the skin. Like, that's why I keep running back to it, because I love using it regardless of how I use it, it always comes out fantastico. I don't know. Fantastico. Alright, so I'm going in next with this Kat Von D Tan 116. This is a lightweight full coverage concealer. And what I'm going to do with this is warm it up my hand. And I'm just going to apply this in all the areas. So right now I want to just conceal. Next, I'm gonna go in to actually brighten underneath the eye area. I'm gonna go in with V Cosmetics, and this is in the shade Rose. So what I'm gonna do with this is actually put it on the inner parts of the eye as well as underneath, but I'm not going so close underneath the eye. I mean, I got a little bit close, and that's closer than I wanted to, but I'm not gonna go any further. I'm also gonna put this right here and on the tip of my nose. With a damp sponge, I'm just gonna go over the concealer first before I go into the brightener. I also started on my chin purposely because I want to start building the concentration of color on the sponge so that by the time I get to the light part, I will be able to dull it down slightly, as well as get more coverage on the inner parts of the eye without having to add so much product. And also in the parts that I really want to be concealed but slightly brightened, like my forehead, my chin, I have less product there, and I'm able to really blend it out nicely without looking so bright. So now I'm gonna go on the outer parts of the eye. Just trying to do a clean line. Now that I feel like the nose doesn't have to be super blended out, we're gonna get to that. But now that the concealer parts are blended, I'm gonna go in with the highlight. I'm gonna start with my nose just to dull it down slightly. But it's still going to be bright in that area. That's what we want. Now it's okay if you get it on the top of your lid, that's fine. It's a cream. This is why we're starting with the creams first. And then whatever is left on the sponge, go underneath the eye and really work it underneath there so that it's slightly bright. It's not crazy bright. Like, I get everyone wanting to do the crazy bright. I do, but I'm showing you how to still get brightness without doing the bright everywhere. There's a balance, there's a subtlety to it, and there are other options. So now you have a different option. So now I'm just taking a sponge and I'm just, being that there's a little bit of more brightness on the sponge, I'm going in areas to just balance it all out. Just kind of make sure, maybe I felt like that needed a little bit more highlight, so I put some there. Right here in the center of the forehead, I can use just a little bit more highlight as well. Okay, so I do encourage, you know, put on your lid. Around the eye, be comfortable with the sponge. Like, wherever you feel you want more brightness, just add that brightness. And I'm also working on any lines. Like, if I see any harsh lines besides the one on my nose, I'm gonna get at it. All right, so now that that is done, I want to Alright, so I know I said I'm gonna keep it simple for beginners, but I just have to do this for this look, okay? Which is a little bit more on the pro side, but it's a little bit of both. Here's the thing though. What I'm doing is making sure to do all the creams that I want on my face first, and then I'm gonna go in and powder. So this is the simplest way of doing things, especially in the beginning, without adding too many layers. So this is the most I'm gonna put on my face at this very moment. The next thing I wanna do is put on my creams. So I'm gonna go in, this is the NYX pencils that I have. I'm gonna dip into this brown with a small detail brush. I'm just gonna add the creams in certain areas. Now this is more of a contour, and that's why I love using this in the brows, in the crease area, because it's gonna warm this area up. And honestly, if you're not sure what to put into your crease, always do a brown, especially one that's more towards a contour. Contour meaning it doesn't have as much warmth to it. It's on a cooler side. So again, I am applying the creams because it's also going to be easier to blend in with the rest of the cream on my face. Now once I'm done with this, then I'll go to the next step and build on there. That way it's easier to get your makeup done quickly, especially if you're new, because you don't have to be meticulous about the layers that I keep talking about, because it's a lot of layers sometimes. But this is the easiest for people who are in a rush, new to it, or just ain't, not in the mood. Maybe you're just not in the mood for a full glam and all those steps. But this way you can still get that glam look without, there's a drawback, which is by not doing certain steps, you don't get the level of intensity, but that's okay. So I'm also taking this into the brows, being that it really is such a nice, I went a little bit too dark in that one, but we're gonna work it. I'm just gonna go down the bridge of my nose. It has I love this brown. This is, ooh, I'm so in love. Because I've never done the brown, this brown here before, and I'm just loving the cool tone to it that I'm excited. I put too much, so I'm gonna rub it on my hand. Like, I can't get too excited because then I go hard. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? All right, let me chill. I'm gonna stop. But I love this. This is contouring. And I'm gonna do a video just to explain it more in depth, but contours are a shadow, okay? They are not supposed to be all over your face. And a bronzer is not supposed to be in certain areas either. Like, when you know that, like when you understand the differentiation, your makeup game is gonna go to another level. And that's what I mean when I say the levels and the steps. Because don't get me wrong, I used to be one of those people where it's like I would see a brown color and I'm like, that's gonna be my bronzer, not knowing if it's a bronzer or a contour. But I'm like, but it's brown, not knowing if it's gonna look too dark or too light on my skin. But I'm like, but it's brown. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And now I do, and when you do, it's like, oh, light bulb goes off. And if anybody's wondering, these contact lenses are from Just for Kyra, and this is in the soft brown. I'm enjoying using this brush mainly because it is allowing me to swoop this brown color on effortlessly. I'm gonna use this brush for my underneath here more often because I feel like it's perfect. It fits perfectly, like, because if it was too big of a brush, it would be down here and that's not good. But it's fitting perfectly within the width of my lower lid that I'm like, oh yeah, this is gonna be my go-to for when it comes to this part. I'm gonna go with this pretty green here. It has some nice, it's like it has a champagne vibe to it. It has a green golden vibe to it. I'm gonna place that onto the center of my lid. I'm also gonna bring it back here. Here's a tip, you guys. Like, if you are new, if you are struggling to apply makeup, pay attention. Like, I really am giving you the key, and one of them is, so with a clean synthetic brush, I'm just going, this is from Urban Decay. Yes, I remember. I love this dual-ended synthetic brush that I believe it's synthetic. Don't quote me. I don't remember. I think it is, but it's so soft. It's like I know it's synthetic. Like I know it is. But when a brush is so soft and so good, like it has the nice balance of stiff and softness to it, it's like, are you though? But I got some really, really good hairs in there, and I don't know, like it's different. Anyway, I will go on a rant. So like I said, I'm giving you the jewels, and one of those jewels is the fact that if you are struggling, use creams first when it comes to your eye look, especially because if you screw it up, it's easier to take off. Don't do what you've been taught in the past, which is put concealer and then apply the shadow, and then it looks crazy. It's harder to mess up. And the reason why you want to put cream first is because you're really trying to put the cream, use all the colors. Not all, but most of the colors, your base. You want to get that down. And by getting the base down, especially if you're doing multiple colors, you're able to see if it's looking, because you want your powder to be closer to the look that you're going for than the opposite, you know? So if you're doing a look and you're looking at the cream and you're like, that's not really working out, then it's easier to wipe off. So what I just did now was put that same such a pretty green underneath the eye, but I'm concentrating that color mostly on the lid, but then I'm dragging it out, and but I'm not going too far on the inner corners or outer corners. I'm dragging it out softly just so that the center of the eye is bright and glowing. With a smaller concealer brush, is 194 from MAC, I'm going to dip into that white. This is the NYX, by the way, if I didn't mention it before. This is the NYX pencils that I depotted and put it into this pan because it's just so much faster to use, 10 times faster. So I'm going to take this white shade and I'm going to put this on the inner corners of the eye. I'm gonna take this soft pencil brush. This is by Ace Beauty. I'm just gonna blend it into the inner corner as well as the lid. But I'm being so careful, you guys. I'm trying to concentrate the color without going too far in to the lid. I don't mind a little subtlety, brightness above the fold, but no more than that. Okay, so now that everything is on, now it's best that you apply a setting powder to set all this in so that when we go in with the powder, it doesn't look patchy, it doesn't look crazy. is best to set with a translucent setting powder. So I have this RCMA setting powder. It's the original no color powder, and when I tell you no color, no color. I'm just gonna clean up underneath my eye just in case there's any type of creasing, and then I'm gonna lightly go in with a brush. I'm not gonna go in with a sponge. And the reason why I'm going in with a brush is I'm just gonna put some in my cap. This is the RCMA. I'm going in with a brush compared to a sponge because the sponge packs on a lot more powder. I just want to set this stuff in place so that the rest of the powder that I do put on doesn't build up and start being just doesn't build up. I don't like that build up, especially for someone like me with oily skin. My skin doesn't like a lot of products. I've had to learn that the hard way. Right now, this is just to get a nice smooth canvas. And now that I have my eye color on, I get to add and build, and by also putting this setting powder over the cream, it evens it out so that when you are applying your eyeshadows, it's not blotchy. It's not. If you don't set it, it becomes blotchy and sticky and just crazy. So you've been warned. All right, going in with a flat shaded brush, I'm gonna go in with this shade right here. It's a nice champagne. It has like a pink halo to it, champagne-ish, pinkish, and it's soft enough to actually go into my halo. So I'm gonna use this is Sigma's 230 SS239 brush. I'm gonna bronze the lid with Texture by MAC. I'm gonna use a pretty wide crease brush. This is a 224 by MAC. I'm gonna wing this out, but I'm also going to make sure I hit into that highlight just so that it dulls it down, and into the crease area, but not so far out as I did that contour. I'm gonna stay at the inner parts of the crease and just deepen it. And by using this brush, it's more like an airbrush effect. I'm also going to go lower onto the lid, just into that crease, and just deepen it some more and warm it up. I just dragged it up more into the inner parts of the crease to deepen it some more. It's always safe to use a warmer bronze in the crease area. Depending on the depth of it is determined by you, but just to really have a nice blend of your shadows. With that same texture, I'm gonna go in with a Sephora's smudging brush, and I'm gonna go on the outer corners of the eye, of the lower lash line, as well as the inner. But I'm staying underneath that white. I want a little bit of that white to show on the very top of the lower lash line, so I'm staying underneath. Can you even bring it out? Just to make it more of a line. And then I'm gonna go underneath the green cream shadow that's there. I'm just gonna warm underneath the lower lash line. I feel like it's too bright there, so I'm just dragging this down to blend it out. I'm going in with a thicker smudger brush. This is MAC's 235, along with Mehron's Bright palette. This is the Intense Powder Pressed Powder Pigment palette, and I'm going in with this green here. I'm placing this onto the center of the lid. Now, I stayed mostly in the center. I didn't go in the outer crease. I didn't go in the inner crease. I wanted it to be like I wanted it to be wide, and not so narrow, because I did want these colors to blend in with other colors. So I concentrated most of it in the center, but I made sure to make it wide enough so that it overlaps with another color. Just gonna intensify that center even more. These 𝗻𝗄𝗯 colors are so pigmented, and I love that you can build upon it. That's so pretty. Okay, so the next thing I'm gonna go in with is I'm gonna deepen this. I'm gonna put down this palette. I'm gonna go back into the MAC shadows. I'm just gonna start building and intensifying the outer corners of the eye. All right, so I'm gonna go in first with Cross Culture by MAC, then there's Ground Brown, and then I'm gonna go in with Carbon right here, the black. I'm gonna use this angle brush. This is why do they make it so small? Like, you can even see that number. Something Glam. What? P15. Like, I feel like lately, you know I have 20/20 vision. I just feel like I've been tested lately. Like, oh, word, you got 20/20 vision? Let me see if you can read this. See if you can read. Like, I feel like I've been tested by some of these cosmetic companies, because I'm like, why is the print so damn tiny? Anyway, it's this angle brush that it's going to make it easier to just kind of really work it in. The other thing is, these are matte colors, so it's best to start off with matte colors. Do not do, like, if you want to make your life easy, use matte colors. Then add shine later when you're almost done with the look. Trust me, it's going to make applying makeup so much easier. So I'm working this into the crease. I just want a small depth of this to be super pigmented. The rest, I want it to blend into the crease. I'm just dragging it down to the bottom just so that it blends into the lower lash line slightly. Just round the eyes a bit more underneath. Now I'm going in with the deeper brown, and I'm going to make sure to concentrate more of that color on the outer edge and in that crease. But the deeper the color, the deeper I'm going in color, the less I'm using, the less I'm applying all over the lid. I'm pulling back how much surface area I'm using. I'm also brushing this out and shearing it up. Gently, taking my time. If I don't see it right away, keep going. Build on it. It's subtle because I'm not adding more product to the brush. Going in with a pencil brush. This is Sigma's SS219. I'm going in with that Carbon black, and I'm going to place that on the outer corners and just deepen up that crease. I'm also going to take whatever is left on the brush onto the lower lash line, outer corner. I'm going to wipe off that same angle brush that I was using for the brown. And I'm just going to go over these shades and just blend them into each other some more. just so that it shears out, no harsh lines are being seen. Now I'm gonna go in Ignite with a Real Technique shading brush. I'm gonna put this on the inner corners of the eye. And that's why I put the white on the inner corners, because I really wanted this color to shine through. By putting another green underneath there, it's going to change the shade a bit, and I didn't want that. I was okay with this green being slightly altered, but I wanted the most impact from this green. Now, this is where I'm gonna go back and forth and just blend these two shades in, as well as adding more pigment to the lid from blending out that brown. So without putting much more product on this brush, I'm just gonna use what's on it to blend it into the inner parts of the eye, just so that these two colors mesh well. No harsh lines. Now I only want it to be a touch of green. I don't want it to be as much lit as it is. So that's the other reason why I allow myself to put the green in the middle, so that I have way more opportunity to overlap without taking away too much of the Ignite color that's there. I'm gonna take a little bit of that Ignite also and put it on the center of the eye with that first green. And being that this is not white, this green is not gonna pop out so vividly like the one here. It's gonna be toned down, because that other green is already adding pigment to this look. So it's a subtlety. Next, I'm going in with IT Cosmetics. This is a universal eye pencil. This is in the shade Universal Taupe. So for the brows, it's really important, especially if you're not like 100% comfortable with doing your brows and shaping your brows, finding a color that's light enough to erase your boo-boos. Meaning, don't go in with the black if you're not comfortable. Don't go in with a super dark brown if you're not comfortable. But going in with something like this is this Universal Taupe shade. It has a nice warmth to it where you actually see what you're doing, but if you make a mistake, you can clean it up. Like, it's not hard to rub off. So that's what I mean. And then go in and refine it once you're done, and I'm gonna show you what I mean, because I don't like having my brows simple like this. This is good if I'm going to run to the store, to the bodega or something, but other than that, no, I have to add more depth and layers to my brow. And I do it mainly because I know my brows aren't exactly alike, so it's easier to manipulate and make one brow a bit taller, higher than the other, and add hairs in the front and things like that when it's a brow pencil that's more neutral to your natural brows, more easily mimic your natural brows, which is more of sometimes a softer brown. But now that I have that on real quick, I'm gonna warm up my face, and I like to use as many powders as I can before running to my brows, because I have to, it's like once you're done with your brows, especially when you laminate it like I do, I feel like powder is everywhere and then you have to go back on it. So to eliminate that step, I'm just gonna go in and finish and do all the powders. The same thing goes for my lashes too. I like to do all these things last. When anytime there's so much powder involved, I like to wait to the end. So I'm gonna contour my face. I'm gonna start with Smashbox contour palette. This is pretty old, but I love this neutral shade here. This is a deep contour shade, and I'm gonna use MAC's 197 SH shaping brush. I guess that's what SH stands for, shaping, I'm assuming. But I love how small and flat this brush is. It makes it easy to like really get into the creases. Like my contour crease is so small that I used to use bigger brushes and wonder why. Like, why doesn't it turn out the way I want it to? But also to get in smaller places like the bridge of my nose, just to add a bit more depth. It's just so easy. And I'm also going to put into the base of my hairline and just make my forehead just a little bit smaller than it naturally is. So that there's just a small halo effect on the brow, on the forehead. I'm gonna blend that out, but this is just to get the contour down. Like, all I want to see are shadows. I'm also gonna put this on to the Cupid's bow to really add more depth to the lip. And that's why I just like using this brush. I can go into smaller places so much easier. I also like putting it on the side of my nose to deepen this area right here. Makes my nose look even more snatched. And this is the reason why we put one layer of setting powder, because it blends so much easier. So much easier. Okay, so now that is on, I don't have any other, well, actually I want to put, I love my chin. I love my chin. That dimple. So next I'm going to bronze my skin. So I'm gonna go in with Comfort. This is MAC's Mineralized Skin Finish. It's such a pretty golden bronze, and it has some gold flecks in it that is just going to help warm up my face some more. I'm gonna use, this is the Luna Magic 1111 brush. I'm just gonna place this in the center of my forehead. Remove any harsh lines that may be there. On my cheekbone. Over my nose, just warms you up. So if you ever like put on powder or setting powder or foundation, things like that, and it might be too light, it's good to go in with like a mineralized skin finish like MAC or something like that to help really add more warmth back into your face. All right, so for the blush, I don't know the name of this. This doesn't have a name, but I like it. It's like a nice ruby red. I'm gonna go in with MAC's 168 angle brush, and I'm gonna place this on the outer parts of the cheek to add depth into that area, to blend into that contour. And the reason why I'm layering this, again, this is what I would do in the beginning of my, you know, of applying makeup and really starting to get the hang of it. I'm putting a darker shade here because sometimes you can be too heavy-handed with blush. And I know I was, because I loved it so much. So I would concentrate, I would go ahead and be heavy-handed and concentrated more into the hairline, more above the cheek, because it's also going to lift my cheek. But then I would go in with a lighter color. This is Super Duper Natural by MAC. This is a mineralized blush, and I would take a lighter shade like this using the same blush brush. That's fine. And then I will go on to the center part of my cheek and blend it up into that. That way it's a gradation effect. And again, I was heavy-handed, so I needed this technique. And then I can always sheer it out because it's a mineralized skin finish, so it sheers out really, really pretty and naturally. But as you can see, like, it's a really, really nice gradation from light to dark, and that was one of my tricks. Again, effortless. Like this is a glam that is foolproof. Learning these simple steps and applying them over and over again makes it easier for you to recreate something. I'm gonna take a little bit of that mineralized skin finish onto the forehead, just to add more to that sun kiss, but also it's gonna add a little bit more balance of the blush into the cheek as well. I can even put some here and on my nose. Just that, I feel like this look requires more warmth anyway with the green tones. It's asking for more warmth, and I gotta give it to it. I'm gonna go back into the brows and I'm gonna deepen it, add a bit more depth and gradation. I'm gonna go in with this black brow pencil that I got off of Amazon, and I like it because I'm able to create a really sharp point. This allows me to make hairs, and it's black, so again, if I was you, I would use brown if you're not used to or comfortable with black. But I'm just using this to draw hairs. And I know, like, it may not seem like anything is coming off, but that's what you want, because you want to be able to just add a layering effect and trust the process. Like, some is coming out, trust me. I used to be heavy-handed, and then I wonder why my brows came out looking crazy, but then I decided to take my time, and every time I took my time, it came out correct. It came out better looking every time. So I just stopped rushing the process and started to really take my time. Now, when you see this brow and this brow, you can tell, like, something happened, okay? Like, there's a difference. Now I'm gonna take this brow gel by Anastasia, and I'm just gonna laminate my brows, which is my favorite thing to do. So it's the tip of the brow gel that has the most product, and I will start mainly in the center and just brush up. And it just adds such a high shine. It doesn't dry fully matte. which I don't mind, but it's not this shiny either, so. And I just go up in strokes, while trying not to disturb the shape of the brow. Also, don't do it, I'm not doing it too much, like there's a nice balance. Now I'm going in with Defiance liquid liner in shade Black. I'm gonna create a small wing. And for the inner parts of the eye, because I like the cat eye look, even though I did the shadow pretty rounded, it's a slight, the shadow is slightly winged out. So I want to actually keep my eye shape, which is almond, and accentuate it even more. So by putting less of the black liner in the front, more of my eye is showing, it's exposed, and the depth is getting bigger. So it's going to accentuate the almond. Next, I'm going in with my Too Faced Shadow Insurance Glitter Bonding Primer. Just going to squeeze it a little bit on the pan. And when I'm going in with a small detail brush, this is a 211 by MAC, and I'm just going to place a really good amount of that product onto the brush. I'm going to place this onto the lower lash line. And I'm trying to go in a really straight line, because wherever I put this, that's where the glitter will stay. Going in with this really pretty green from Obsessive Compulsive Cosmetics. I'm going to use a really fine angle brush. This is Anastasia's brow brush, but it has such a fine, small angle that's perfect. And I'm just going to place that glitter right where the glue is. It makes it's effortlessly so easy to apply glitter when it comes to that primer. It's literally glue. So for my lashes, I already wore these, so these little dots are just the cut off ends, but these are the lashes I'm gonna go in. I wanted something that was fluffy, that had a nice curve to it, as well as fluff to it as well. I didn't want it to be too thick but too soft, so I felt like these were a nice balance between them both. I love lashes that actually curl up like this. It's so pretty. And it's a wispy, it's so nice. So I'm gonna apply my lash glue using my Duo brush. This is the green box, green and white box. And if you are also having issue with when it comes to applying your lashes, do this trick. It's the easiest and the best thing I've ever done, ever. I learned this from Pixie Woo. So the sisters, they would look down into a mirror, and mainly the reason why they would look down and they would apply their lashes on, but the glue would be on the lashes. For me, I kind of switched it up and moved it around because they have straighter lashes. My lashes curl up into a C, so it was easier for them to place the lashes on top. I found that I had a harder time doing that, just placing the lashes on top. Even when I look down, even with the glue on the lashes, it just feel like it just would go on my lid and frustrate me. So I got frustrated one day and I said, you know, I'm just gonna put the glue on my lash exactly where I want it, and then I'm gonna put the lashes. And you have to move fast when you're doing this, because you will, if you have lashes like mine that curl in like a C, you will get glue on your lash. So you have to move fast in order to apply your either primer or mascara afterwards. I'm gonna do one eye at a time. Normally I would do two, but I knew I was gonna have to look for my mascara, so I chose to opt out. So I'm quickly just applying a thin coat of mascara, and then I'm also going back and forth to help rub off any of that glue that might be on the lashes. Then I would take my lashes firmly in the middle, especially with this angle brush that I like to use. It really helps to grip those lashes. So I would look down and just place these lashes right where I want it. And sometimes the lashes kind of get squished down a little bit because you're really able to get it close to the lash line. I would just go under carefully with this comb and just comb up. So I'm going to take that liquid liner and I'm just going to go in the inner corners of the eye and just drag that over the lash line. By the way, this mascara is Big Look by Purr. I'm also going to place this onto the lower lash as well. I'm going to do a few coats of that. I'm also going to place them on the top lash line also, but really close to my lashes just to blend it in some more to the falsies. Especially if I feel like my lashes are looking kind of gray. I'm also able to get the very tiny few of my lashes that are sticking out just so that it blends. It's like a nice gradation into the longer lashes. And I'm using the point of the brush because it has a lot more product there, especially when it comes to putting a second coat. It's just easier now that there's a first coat there. There's something there for the mascara to adhere to. Much easier, and so it's just easier to build without them clumping together, which is really the point. You don't want them to clump together, and sometimes stroking it, brushing it down can add clumps and also take away more product. Sometimes I feel like it takes away more product when I want to just constantly build. So for the lip, I'm going to keep it really, really nude. I love the flush of color that's coming from here, but I'm gonna stay somewhat in that family. I'm gonna use St. Luke's lip liner. This is in shade Morganite. This is Anastasia's lip palette. And I'm gonna actually create a custom shade here because I know what I want and I don't necessarily see it in my collection as of yet. So I'm gonna take this shade right here, this pinky shade. This has actually a spatula on one end and a brush on the other. I'm gonna use the spatula to scoop out colors onto the palette, and I'm gonna scoop out some of this white, and I'm just putting it onto this palette here. So I just created like a coolish pink shade, and I'm just gonna place that onto the center of the lip. I'm just gonna go back and forth between the brow pencil and this shade to get the desired look. Now I'm gonna go in with this pencil that I got from Amazon. It's a deeper brown that is just gonna give me a nice shadow. So it's a little bit long because it broke and I refuse to throw it away. I refuse. So I just squished it on top. So I gotta use a really light hand, gentle hand, because I didn't want to throw all that away. I was like, that's so much. Now I have to wipe longer because I don't want to break it. But I'm just overlapping the lip some more. It broke off, but I'm gonna put it in my plate. And I'm still going to use it because I feel like I have to throw it away. I don't know, like I'm gonna squish it into this pan. And I'm going to use a really fine detail brush by Revlon. I don't have too many shades this color, so that's why I'm holding on to every bit of it. I'm gonna put that in my depotted pan in a bit. So I'm gonna really overline this lip. Accentuating my Cupid's bow even more. And then I'm just gonna add a shadow going down so that it's softer on the outer edges and more sharp on the inner parts. I'm also gonna place this onto the lower part. I'm also going to bring this slightly up, just slightly. And I'm shadowing it out. Now I'm going to take that same lip and I'm just going to blend that in some more because it's too dark on the top. It's too dark on the bottom. We want it to be a nice soft gradation. So I didn't put more on this lip brush, but whatever is on, I'm just gonna go over. So it's gonna add depth, but I'm softening it, softening that depth. See, much better. I have this little pan that I depot my lipsticks that I love. When I get to the bottom, I just throw them in here. But for that lip liner, I'm just gonna scoop it up and put it inside. I like the Charlotte Tilbury setting spray. I liked how it looked on my skin. So I'm gonna set my face before adding the rest of the finishing touches. This is the Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray, the little bottle that I have. I love these for traveling. First of all, the spray nozzle on this is chef's kiss. You hear me? I love when it just feels like a pillow of what the hell is a pillow? A pillow of spray, a pillow of liquid falls on my face. I hate when it's harsh. Like, there's some bottles that are just like, ugh. Anyway, so now that my face is nice and set and dewy, I'm gonna add to that dewiness. I don't even want to set, like, I don't even feel like there's anywhere that I want to like tone down, but I do want to add some sheen, and this is Bobbi Brown's Glow Highlight Trio, and I have enough pink on my face. I feel I want to cool it down and add a bit more of a high shine. I'm going to use my generic fan brush that I've had for a very long time. I'm so loyal to it because it's loyal to me. Sometimes when it doesn't shed. I'm just placing this on the high points of my face. I like to blot it on and then go side to side, because sometimes you can put on way too much when you just feign it on, but when you blot it, you're able to see how much you're applying. And if you want a high shine, now you know it's safe to do so and just rub it back and forth. If your décolleté is showing, why not? To finish this off, I'm going in with some MAC gloss. I'm going to use Real Techniques detail brush. I'm just going to squeeze. I love these squeezy tubes. Like, it's just perfect. It's so sanitary. I'm making sure to put gloss in the center first, and then it's gonna rub its way out. So my hair wants to do its own thing. That's all right. We flow with it. Us naturals, we just flow with our hair. It's just, I just had to point that out because I know it's obvious. So you guys, I hope you enjoyed this look that I created and the tips and the tricks that I gave you for your arsenal. Like, creating full glam is artwork, and I want people to understand that. Like, it doesn't have to be so serious. And it is something that you all can achieve and you all can do. Trust me, I was novice at one point, and now I feel like I'm more and more, you know, becoming not full advanced, because I'm still learning. I don't ever see myself as like a master, because I love learning. I love learning. So for me, I'm good at it. And you can be too, okay? And my job here is to teach you these tips and tricks that I didn't know. I wish someone told me. There was a lot of gatekeeping. There's a lot of gatekeeping. And now I just feel like everyone is sharing. Just share. Just share. It's fun. So this is a full glam that's really nice for the coming holidays. This green is so pretty. It goes so nicely with brown skin tones, and it goes, and if you was to actually tone it, if you had lighter skin tone, you can tone down the shade of green. If you have a deeper skin tone, you can intense the shade of green. Like, you can go in a variation with it. But other than that, this is so pretty for the holidays. So if you like this look, thank you for watching all the way to the end. Please like, thumbs up, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye, beauties.